Please shout in the chat box. Yes? Okay, that's great. Okay, well, I see some of you already filled in the poll that's on the website on the front in the meeting room. So if you have not, please do so now. Okay, so that's four that have used Google Analytics and four that haven't. Okay, so everybody should be able to see the results now as well. Okay, your slaves always do that stuff, says Lee Allen. Okay, well, let's switch to the presenting area where I can show you my presentation. So I see the presentation loading right now. Can everybody see the presentation here? Okay. Yes, it's an ostrich. Well, let me start off. Well, boa noite, senhores e senhoras. Good night or good day. Goedemorgen, goedemiddag. Well, first, let me tell you a little about myself. I am a freelance web developer. I'm part employed by a company, and oh, maybe I can start my webcam as well. Makes it just a little bit more fun, perhaps. Okay, it's the middle of the night here, so I might look a bit tired, but well, hey. Okay, well, let me tell you a little about myself. Um, so I'm a part freelance, part employed web developer, and I started my career as a system administrator for Unix systems at Sun Microsystems. And during that period, I did a lot of programming in Perl, and that was mainly automation programming for system tasks. From there, I gradually started working at other companies that did a lot of Unix assisted and Linux system administration. But the last years, my focus began to be more on web development, mainly for things like WordPress and Joomla. Um, and well, when developing with WordPress and Joomla, I thought that that was really the kind of market I would want to be in. And then I discovered Moodle. Well, of course, Moodle's really big, and I loved it because there's so many options that can be changed. There's so much to do, and there's such a nice community. And well, basically, the last 3 years, I've been doing only Moodle and some side stuff with Mahara and still some WordPress and Joomla. Um, so how did I learn to code for Moodle? Well, there's a lot of info, of course, in the Moodle books, and there's a lot of info in the Moodle community. You can ask questions in the Moodle forums, etc. But the best way to learn it is just to start developing and look at the source code. So that's what I've been doing a lot, reading source code. Well, I enjoy doing these types of workshops or events or presentations. The last presentation and workshop I did was on the iMoot for the Ireland and UK. I did a day of Moodle theming workshopping, and together with Gavin Henrik, whom most of you might know, we did a Pekachuka, that's a really short presentation, on Google Analytics already. Um, so, well, I live in the Netherlands. It's middle of the night here, but it's really quiet. I live next to a wonderful and big park, and I really enjoy it here. It's nice and warm in summer already. So, okay, about the presentation. I'm gonna grab a sip of coffee. um, well, this slide really sums it up because it has the abstract of the complete presentation, actually. So what this is about. Well, standard Google Analytics reporting takes a URL from a page to track the views, of course. And with Moodle, that means that it's not possible to easily track uh, which activity URL belongs to what course within the analytics. This presentation looks at the work done to help address this issue, and it looks at the test that we did during the Ireland and UK Moodle Moot. So Gavin Hendrick was the original founder of this idea, and together we found a solution to get really nice results. Okay, so I saw in the poll that a lot of you have not been using Google Analytics yet. So I'll try and explain a bit more on how you get Google Analytics for your Moodle installation and what it can do. So um, next I'm going to tell you about some of the advanced features. But again, what Google Analytics basically does, well, its main feature is just tracking how many people visited your website. And this graph shows a really simplistic image of that. But it has a lot of advanced features as well. For instance, you can track user behavior. You can have custom charts of the information you gather. The reports you create can be mailed to a particular email address. You can measure the page load speeds, and that helps you determine if your Moodle website is performing well. You can see where traffic's coming from, for instance, from Google or from Twitter. You can have some nice demographics to see where your users are coming from. You can even track mobile usage. What percentage of your users use an iPad or tablet or whatever. You can also track visitor flow. So from what part of the site to what part of the site do they navigate? And you could even have live statistics, so you can immediately see where users click. So how do you get Moodle and Google Analytics for Moodle? Well, first of all, you just visit the website google.com/analytics. And if you have a Google account, which most of you probably have, you can just sign in and register your website. So add your website URL when you register your website. And then when you're done, you receive a JavaScript code snippet. You see the code snippet on the right side of this presentation screen. Um, you don't have to understand it. You just have to uh, get it into your Moodle installation. And how do you do that? Well, the easiest way of getting it into your Moodle installation is embedding it in your Moodle theme layout files. Now, for Moodle 2, the Moodle theme engine has changed a lot, and you probably have a couple of different layout files in your theme. For instance, there will be the front page layout file and the general layout file, and perhaps even a course layout file. For each of these layout files, you need to copy this JavaScript code snippet you receive on Google Analytics and put it in your theme. So now, once you have Google Analytics put in your theme, uh, you can navigate to the Google Analytics website and have a report like this one. So this is a standard report of a Moodle website, and it shows a nice graph. And here, this is probably really slow, really tiny for you, but here you have some page views. So if I zoom in on that, I can show you a sample report of a Google Analytics uh, uh, chart from Moodle. So have a look. So what do I see here? It's kind of hard to read. For instance, which course is the course with ID 13? What course was the dialogue activity visited? And what course category was visited most? Well, this information is not easy to read from this chart. So let's have a look at another system. For instance, WordPress. I have a chart and just have a look at the URLs. So this report is a lot more easy to read. And why is that? I can see which articles have been viewed. I can break it down into year, month, day. I could create graphs of most viewed articles in May, for instance. So again, let's have a look at the URLs that Moodle uses. For instance, the first one, a category. It is like moodle.moodlemoot.ie course category.php, and then ID is 1. That's not really easy. Which category is that? And then a course, well, it's course-view.php, ID is 15. A section, well, has the course view ID is 15 again, and then a topic is 2. Or a resource, well, it's just a resource, no idea which course they belong to. So again, which section is that resource linked in? No idea. Which course is that resource part of? Cannot see that. Which category is that course in? Don't know. And was it a student or an admin who clicked that link? Well, it's not in the URL. So let's have a look at the URLs we really want. So for instance, a category would be just a subdirectory to our URL. A course would create another subdirectory. Here, delegate pack. A section will be pre-conference workshops, for instance, and a resource in that section will be pre-conference workshops, a Moodle 2 tool guide for teachers, which most of you probably have seen. So the URL we designed to use in Google Analytics was like this. Have the category, course short name, then the section name, and then the activity name. We could even use the activity type, for instance, forum. So this one is really small, perhaps to view. So we took this URL design and we actually created code that stores this information in Google Analytics. Now let's have a closer look at this one. Here we see that we achieved the function to get the course category and the course name into Google Analytics and actually have some reports on this. So this is data that comes from the Moodle website for the Ireland and UK. And this is where the fun starts. So as I said, Google Analytics offers options to create custom dashboards. And in a custom dashboard, you can create your own graphs and have filters and etc. on your information, on the stuff you store. And when I have a closer look, I can have a chart that shows which of the courses were most favorite or viewed most in our Moodle environment. So this is a zoom in of the course dashboard we created. And I can see that the presentations were really popular. Well, we have a general course as well. I don't know again exactly what was in there. And we had a game course that was really fun. And well, it was visited quite a lot. It had about 1,500 page views. Oh, wow, that was cool. So this is a screenshot that shows you how to create a custom dashboard. Well, I see Sarah has a question there. If you have, I'm going to answer that in a little while. So a dashboard. Well, you can create dashboards here, and you can choose different dimensions and metrics to use in your graphs. For instance, we have been looking at page views, but it could have been browser type or land of origin or city. Well, there's all these different kinds of information we store, and we can use it to create graphs. And when creating here, in this dashboard, we created a timeline that has a metric page views compared with page visits, and it only shows path level 2. That means the second part of the URL, and that had to contain the course name workshops. So we've created a custom dashboard for one of our courses. And that resulted in this dashboard. Well, it has a couple of widgets on it. I'm going to zoom in on the pie chart again. And here I can see that within the course game, we had a couple of sections, and this chart shows us how many page views each of these sections got. So that's really amazing, I think. Again, we can even have a chart of the user flow. So we can see where users go once they log in. And you don't even have to create a custom dashboard for this. Oh, I thought I had a zoomed in one, but this is actually the zoomed in one. So I hope you can see it. Otherwise, I'm going to explain just a little bit. The biggest blue part on the left is the home page, and from there people navigate to the login page. And once they've logged in, most of them return home. So that's the third big blue block from the left. And below that was the presentations, the general, and then the delegate pack. So we can see how people flow through the sites and where they drop off. Okay, let's try full screen. I hope you get it, the full screen. I get it, but I'm not sure that everybody will see what I'm doing. I'm going to leave that for half a minute and then return to the normal view because I don't see the chat box again. Ah, Teresa said it's per participant. Okay. Oops. Looks like I presentation. And we're back. Great. Okay. Agora apareceu. Okay, great. And you lost my video as well. Okay. Wow, that wasn't really smart. Okay, I'm back. Well, now I've taken a little break so I can try to get Sarah an answer for her question. If you have display a directory resource link, will Google Analytics be able to provide data on traffic activity for the files within the directory? Well, Sarah, I'm not sure our solution will work for that particular question, but I'm really sure that creating some extra PHP code will enable you to do that. So yes, it can be done. Not sure it can be done with our solution. So, well, now you've seen what can be done in the Google Analytics report. I want to tell you a little about what we have done to achieve this. Because as I showed you in the first part, Google doesn't stand for Moodle doesn't doesn't offer this in their standard package. So let's have another look at the Google Analytics JavaScript code. And well, first of all, could you raise hands if you have experience in JavaScript or PHP programming? So you can do that using the top bar, says little person. Okay. Well, I see at least 4. So, okay, that's great. Well, the next part is going to be a little technical, but I don't think too technical. So, I'm not an expert on JavaScript. I mainly do PHP and Perl. So, and even for me, um, it was really simple to do this. So most of you or the real JavaScript developers here will find this really, really simple. So let's have a look at the Google Analytics JavaScript code here again. Um, well, first of all, I can see that there's a function here, and um, this is the JavaScript loaded by your browser window. So your browser actually parses this and does stuff to it. And the first of all, there's a variable that says set account with this UA 30303030-1. Well, what that does is identify your installation, your Moodle website. So Google Analytics understands which page we're talking about. The second variable, track page view. So that's what it does, but it has no value to it. So we have the set account variable, the track page view variable, and there's documentation on developers.google.com. You have the link here that tells you how to work with this snippet. And well, all you need to do is add the URL you want to track after the track page view. So you can insert like a fake URL in there that gets stored instead of the original URL you are using on your website. So the next thing we need to do is get a real URL in there. The previous example, I'm going back for just a little view. In this example, we have a hard-coded URL. Of course, we do not want that because it's a dynamic variable. And how do we get that dynamic variable into the JavaScript snippet? Well, for that, you need a little bit of PHP. And well, for this particular piece of code, I just spent 4 hours creating such a URL. It was really simple, but you have to know a little bit about Moodle coding. And what we did was really simple and really lazy, actually. I took a function from Moodle, well, actually a function on a class instance that's called $output. And that's a class instance that's used a lot in theming. And I used a function that gets the items that go into the breadcrumb of Moodle. That says home, uh, the category name, course name, etc. You see it a lot in the top of your screen as a navigation bar. Well, I took that navigation bar and then I looped through it using a for each statement. And in this for each statement, I could have a look at each of the items that make up the breadcrumb and then determine what kind of item is this. For instance, I can get the section name, the activity type, and the action type, just looping through the items of the navigation bar. So the code is a bit bigger and it's on my blog, so you can have a look at the complete code. Um, what I did actually is just create the variable track URL that gets put into the JavaScript snippet. So here is the snippet where we create the custom URL. We have the JavaScript snippet again, and at the variable track page view, we have a value of that gets echoed by PHP that has the track URL. So each page that loads puts in its unique page URL that we constructed or designed before. So now, I'm nearly at the end of the presentation, but I would like to tell you the future of this project, because there's a lot that can be done and achieved using this really simple modification. For instance, we could send extra variables to Google Analytics. Uh, right now, we've just stored the page path, but we could also get some custom variables in there. For instance, the category name, the role of the user, or the department of the user, or even the UID. So it wouldn't be that anonymous anymore. We could have logging of events, for instance, when is an activity completed or when is a user created. So the Moodle core code has some event triggers that can be used, and using these event triggers, you can create local plugins that do things for you. And in this case, that could be send some data to Google Analytics. Um, we could even store course grades. So get course um, activities and store grades that people get for them. So we can have statistics of grades for different kinds of activities. We could even get the Google Analytics data back into Moodle, because Google Analytics has this API that you can use and you can talk to get results back into your Moodle installation. And well, Google Analytics also offers to email reports of dashboards, etc. We could try to get these emailed reports, these PDFs, back into the course pages. For the last one, get Google Analytics data back into Moodle, I've been experimenting on that one and came up with a really simple example here. You might want to do a full screen again to have a look, but it has a really simple page. It's the My Moodle page, and I created a block, and I had to put it in the middle because it was too big, but it already shows you that we can get this data back into Moodle. I just need some nice graphs and charts, etc. So the purpose of this presentation was to inform you, but it was also to maybe motivate you to think with us to get really nice new features in there, or maybe help us doing some of the reporting or graphing. So more information can be found on the blog post by Gavin Hendrick, and the link is on here. Of course, you can review this presentation on SlideShare, so you will find this information there. I have done a blog post on it as well that has the complete code that we did. There's more information on the Google Analytics JavaScript snippet on the developers website of Google. And we have the Google Analytics Query Explorer that help you understand what types of data is stored and how you can access this data. And there's a little more about using Google Analytics with PHP. So how do you get the variables? How do you get the data? So you can contact us. You can contact me by email or Twitter, or, well, using the iMoot website, and Gavin Hendrick's emails there as well. So I think, well, I did half an hour now, so I have quite some time left. I would like to have a little discussion about the features you think would be really useful, or have a discussion about the implications of using Google Analytics. So feel free to ask using the chat box, or I can give you the microphone so you can have a question. I see a comment by Natalie. I use this method in Moodle too to add Google Analytics code. site administration appearance, additional HTML, and copy the tracking code from Google Analytics into the within header box. Is it still necessary to copy the snippet onto each Moodle layout page? Well, for this thing we did, we used some functions from PHP, and I don't think you can insert PHP functions in this custom HTML header block. But I'm not really sure. I haven't tried it, so I have to be honest, but I guess it cannot be done. Ok, boa pergunta. Onde você cola o código? Qual página pode responder em inglês mesmo? Ok. um, I'm not sure what cola means, but I am allowed to respond in English to Gilvan's question. Uh, so could you rephrase that in English? Sorry, Gilvan. I can't get the part that says cola o código qual página. Oh, where do I copy and paste the HTML? Well, um, it's part PHP and JavaScript actually. I put it in the header of your theme's layout files. So when you have a look at the Moodle code of your installation and you investigate the theme you selected, there's a couple of files in there, and one of them is the folder theme, then the name of your theme, and there's a folder called layout. And in this folder, the layout files for your theme are stored. And I'm talking Moodle 2 now. And you can just open up each of these files in the text editor and copy and paste in the links or the code snippets within the head sections of HTML. Be careful though, have a backup, of course, of the layout files, and perhaps you have to be consider using a custom theme instead of one of the core themes that Moodle uses, because it could break your upgrade process. So any more questions or things you would like to discuss? Well, if there's no more questions, I can tell just a little more about privacy. Because, of course, the issue with using Google Analytics is that your users' data end up in some external system. And it might concern you a bit. What happens with this data? Will this information really be private? Well, actually, it won't really be private, because if your user is on your Moodle website and if he uses a Google account and is logged into his Gmail account, Google Analytics can identify who this user is and then store personal data as well. Data you might not be able to access, but it could be there. So you have to consider that. And if that is a worry for you, and if that is a problem, you could consider some alternative analytic systems. So on this sheet, I've put a link to a blog post that tells about all different kinds of analytic systems out there. And a lot of these offer the same functionality as Google Analytics does. But in this presentation, I've been using Google Analytics because it's that easy. There's a lot of information. There's a lot of developer documentation. So it's really easy to use. And it was the first thing that came to mind when thinking about analytics. The alternatives that are out there are sometimes paid for systems like Woopra and Clicky. They're really good, but they cost about, well, between 30 and $45 a month. And of course, there are some open source alternatives as well. Well, they might you might think that, oh wow, that's great, they're free, it's open source, but of course, with open source software, you still have to host it somewhere, and that'll cost you. And with these analytics systems, it might become quite expensive because a lot of processing is done in the background. But if you want to use open source alternatives, have a look at the PVKey and especially at the Open Web Analytics. The last one is really promising, has all the features that Google Analytics does. The interface looks, well, nice, not really, really cool. It's built by programmers, so they didn't really look a lot at cool design, but it works really well. So have a look at that one. And well, about the performance, as I said, processing analytics can take up a lot of CPU power. Even when you have a look at the statistics that are in Moodle itself, which can be really useful as well, you might notice that on large installation, it takes quite a while to create these reports and graphs. So um, using an external tool for reporting, graphing can help you with performance of your website, so you don't have to do it in Moodle yourself. So no more questions. So if there's no more questions, I'm going to end this presentation. And I would like to thank you all for attending this presentation. It's been really fun doing this. And
Okay,
well, I hope to
Baz,
see you
thank you
here.
very much for that. Obviously, it's Julian back here again. On behalf of the iMoot team, thank you again very much for presenting. I've heard Gavin speak about this before, but you've gone into a lot more detail and given me lots of ideas. And I've got a feeling from what I'm seeing in the chat that many others there are going to be leaving here and starting to play right away. So, yeah, on behalf of us, thank you for presenting, and I hope you get to see some sessions yourself now. Thank you.